As the Mafia's power grew, so did its appetite for violence and illicit activities. What started as protection rackets evolved into extortion, kidnapping, and murder. The Mafia's tentacles reached into every facet of Sicilian life, from local businesses to politics. One figure who embodies the Mafia's ruthless nature is Salvatore Toto Riina. Rising through the ranks of the Corleonese Mafia clan, Riina was a cold-blooded killer who orchestrated countless murders, including those of rivals, law enforcement officials, and even innocent bystanders. His reign of terror in the 1980s and 1990s cemented the Mafia's reputation for brutality. Under Riina's leadership, the Mafia engaged in a bloody war against the Italian state. This conflict culminated in the assassinations of prominent anti-Mafia magistrates Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino, who dared to challenge the Mafia's power. These murders sent shockwaves through Italy and beyond, highlighting the Mafia's reach and ruthlessness. While the Mafia was tightening its grip on Sicily, waves of Italian immigrants were crossing the Atlantic in search of a better life in America. Among them were mafiosi seeking new opportunities. They found fertile ground in the bustling cities of the East Coast, particularly New York. In America, the Mafia, or Cosa Nostra, as it became known, flourished during the Prohibition era of the 1920s. The ban on alcohol created a lucrative black market, and the Mafia was quick to seize control of the illegal liquor trade. Bootlegging brought immense wealth and power to the American Mafia. The American Mafia, like its Sicilian counterpart, thrived on violence and intimidation. Turf wars between rival gangs erupted. They led to countless deaths on the streets of New York, Chicago, and other cities. The Mafia's influence seeped into labor unions, businesses, and even Hollywood. They became a formidable force in American society. By the mid-20th century, the American Mafia had consolidated its power. New York City became the epicenter of their operations. 5 main families emerged: Bonanno, Colombo, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese. These families controlled vast criminal enterprises. These included gambling, loan sharking, and extortion. One of the most notorious Mafia leaders of this era was Charles "Lucky" Luciano. A cunning strategist and ruthless operator, Luciano is credited with transforming the American Mafia into a highly organized and profitable criminal enterprise. He established the Commission, a governing body composed of the heads of the 5 families, to maintain order and resolve disputes. Luciano's reign, however, was not without its challenges. He faced constant pressure from law enforcement as well as rivals within the Mafia itself. His story, like many in the annals of organized crime, is a testament to the allure and danger of power. Section 5. A War on Two Fronts. The Mafia battles law enforcement and rivals. The Mafia's reign of terror did not go unchallenged. Law enforcement agencies, both in the United States and Italy, were working tirelessly to bring down the organization. The FBI, under the leadership of J. Edgar Hoover, made dismantling the Mafia a top priority. Meanwhile, in Italy, a new breed of magistrates emerged. These brave individuals risked their lives to expose the Mafia's criminal network. Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino dedicated their careers to fighting the Mafia. They paid the ultimate price for their bravery. The Mafia, facing pressure from law enforcement, was also engaged in internal power struggles. Bloody conflicts erupted between rival families. These conflicts often spilled out into the streets, claiming the lives of innocent bystanders. The Mafia, it seemed, was a threat both to itself and to society at large. Section 6. Blood on the Streets, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre and Other Atrocities. The Mafia's ruthlessness is best exemplified by the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. On February 14, 1929, 7 members of the North Side Gang were gunned down by rivals associated with Al Capone's Chicago outfit. This act of violence shocked the nation and symbolized the Mafia's brutality. It highlighted the intense rivalry within the criminal underworld. The massacre was a reminder of the Mafia's capacity for violence, but it was just one of many atrocities committed by the Mafia. Section 7. The Drug Trade and Its Consequences, from Heroin to Cocaine. As the Mafia's power grew, so did its involvement in the lucrative drug trade. From heroin trafficking in the 1950s and 1960s, to the cocaine boom of the 1970s and 1980s, the Mafia played a major role in flooding the streets of America and Europe with illegal narcotics. The drug trade brought in vast sums of money for the Mafia, but it also brought increased scrutiny from law enforcement. The 1985 seizure of a 60-foot sailboat carrying over 11 tons of Colombian cocaine, destined for the Gambino crime family, was a major blow to the Mafia's drug operations. This bust, known as the Pizza Connection case, exposed the Mafia's vast international drug trafficking network. The Mafia's involvement in the drug trade had devastating consequences for communities around the world. Drug addiction, violence, and corruption followed in the wake of the Mafia's illicit activities. The pursuit of profit had come at a terrible human cost. Section 8. Striking back. Law enforcement fights back against the Mafia. Despite the Mafia's power and influence, law enforcement agencies continued to chip away at the organization. The development of new investigative techniques, such as wiretapping and undercover operations, provided valuable intelligence on the Mafia's inner workings. The Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, or RICO, passed in 1970, proved to be a powerful weapon against the Mafia. This law allowed prosecutors to target the Mafia's financial infrastructure and bring down entire criminal enterprises. The FBI's Witness Protection Program also played a crucial role in dismantling the Mafia. By offering protection to former mafiosi willing to testify against their former associates, law enforcement was able to secure convictions in some of the most high-profile Mafia cases in history. Section 9. The Mafia's reach, global operations, and influence. While the American and Sicilian Mafia remained the most powerful and well-known branches of the organization, the Mafia's influence extended far beyond the borders of Italy and the United States. The Mafia established a presence in countries around the world, including Canada, Australia, South America, and parts of Europe. They engaged in a wide range of criminal activities. These activities included drug trafficking, money laundering, extortion, and human trafficking. The Mafia's global network allowed them to operate with a degree of impunity. They exploited differences in legal systems and law enforcement capabilities. Their international connections made them a formidable force in the global criminal underworld. Section 10. The Mafia Today, a shadow of its former self. The Mafia of the 21st century is a far cry from the all-powerful organization that once held sway over vast criminal empires. Years of relentless law enforcement pressure, internal strife, and changing social and economic conditions have taken their toll. The Mafia's traditional strongholds in Sicily and the United States have been weakened. However, the organization has shown a remarkable ability to adapt and evolve. They have diversified their criminal portfolios. They have shifted their focus to less risky and more profitable ventures, such as cybercrime, white-collar crime, and infiltration of legitimate businesses. While the Mafia may no longer hold the same level of power and influence it once did, it remains a significant criminal threat. Their ability to adapt, their global reach, and their willingness to use violence make them a persistent danger to societies around the world. Section 11. The Legacy of the Mafia, a complex and violent history. The Mafia's legacy is a complex and often contradictory one. On the one hand, they are romanticized in popular culture as figures of power, wealth, and even a perverse sense of honor. On the other hand, their history is one of brutality, corruption, and a callous disregard for human life. The Mafia's impact on society is undeniable. They have infiltrated governments, corrupted businesses, and instilled fear in communities around the world. Their story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power, the allure of easy money, and the corrosive effects of organized crime. While the Mafia may never be completely eradicated, understanding their history, their methods, and their motivations is essential to combating their influence and mitigating their impact on society. The fight against organized crime is an ongoing one, requiring vigilance, international cooperation, and an unwavering commitment to justice.